The significance of the master plan is that we have to show on the ground how this will work. And we know it can work at Manston because of the amount of land available and because of the runway that's already there. But there will need to be significant expenditure on the infrastructure on the ground. Many of those of you who worked at Manston will know that there were, although the previous owners maintained the infrastructure in pretty good condition, they never really invested very much in changing it and modernising it. So the need for more aprons, better taxiway connections, sorting out the difference in levels here and there, and all that sort of thing, that has to be done, and we have to demonstrate to the Planning Inspectorate that we have plans that will do that. That work, the master planning work, is likely to take around 3 months, we think. But we will be in the hands of our consultant master planners, who are vastly experienced people, whose appointment we will be confirming early next week. And they're a well-known international company who've done this many times before and are very, very reputable indeed. Alongside that, there are two other things which have to happen in parallel. The first is we have to agree with Thanet a consultation process. The law is very strict about this. The consultation takes two forms. One is consultation with the public, which is of course very important, and how we do that is something on which we have to consult with Thanet. The other is the statutory consultation process, on which we also have to consult with Thanet. That's with the Environment Agency and the CAA and all the other statutory bodies who have an interest in the airport. And on the environmental side, we will be hiring, we're on the point of hiring environmental consultants, because the environmental side of the project and the difference that the re-establishment of the airport and its growth along the lines that we've suggested, the difference that makes and its impact on the environment is something on which we have to commission work, consult and report. Essentially, when that process is over, the first part of the application is done, and we then present our material to the Planning Inspectorate. The Planning Inspectorate then has a number of choices. It can accept what we've said and then conduct its own inquiry. It can say to us, well, we're not satisfied about certain things, go back and do them again. Sorry.
Sorry. Everyone's going, some people go out.
Shall I start again? I've got a letter from our solicitors here. So it is a true consultation. I think that's the point I want to make. The consultation is on planning grounds. We all know that there are people down in this part of the world who don't want the airport, at any cost, and who will want to make that case at all costs, and you know, we have to face that. But the issue is going to be, is this an airport which can meet a significant national need? We say it is. And if so, does that justify the creating of a development consent order? And so that we're clear about this in relation to parallel rights, if I can put it that way, a development consent order is effectively a piece of statute law. It is actually issued by the appropriate Secretary of State, and it does three things. First of all, it provides the planning consent that we will need for the work that we want to do on the airport as set out in our master plan. Secondly, it contains a renewal of the existing Section 106 agreement, which covers things like noise levels and flight paths and protection of the environment, and opening hours and so on. And thirdly, it incorporates a compulsory purchase order. All three things come together. So it's a very, very important document. which isn't given lightly. We have to do the work to satisfy the Secretary of State that we should be entitled to that. But at the end of the process, that's what we get. And as our solicitor said, this process does not involve partnership with TDC. It involves River Oak taking the responsibility on its own shoulders with its own investors, persuading the Planning Inspectorate that it has the resources to do that, and persuading the Planning Inspectorate and the Secretary of State that this is a project of national significance. That's basically where we are. So as far as communicating with the public is concerned, there will be times when you don't hear very much from us, because work will be progressing on the master plan, which is a very, very important part of the process. But just because I have got a timetable here, because there are some things that need to be watched rather carefully, and that's yeah. Someone just said it. The planning issues. Well, if you had good ears, I wouldn't need the microphone.
Gary's well known for
So we've got. I mean, I'm looking at this is confidential, but I mean, I'll read some of it out. So we're in. I'll read, but I won't read all of it out. We're starting in January, of course. So TDC's consultation on its indemnity partner process has begun. It would appear as though there are going to be interviews with potential partners starting in the middle of February. We have no idea where that's going. So that's one line. The next line is the Stonehill Park planning application, which we are told will be submitted in April at some point. Whether that happens, how long that takes, what happens to that application, we don't know. The third line is drafting a national policy statement on aviation, which is important. Just to make it clear, it's not strictly necessary for Manston to figure in that statement for us to succeed in this process, but we would like Manston to be included in that statement because it has relevance in relation to the whole London airport scene. That draft is expected to appear in the summer of 2016. So, and then there's a consultation and so on. No one's quite sure how long that's going to take because it's all tied up with the decision on Heathrow. So that's the third strand. The fourth strand is then our DCO application, which has technically begun, and we are looking in this timetable I'm consulting at a consultation during the month of May. We think by May we will have A, agreed how we do the consultation with Thanet, subject to the approval of the Planning Inspectorate, and B, that we will have enough material to take to consultation with the community, and of course with the statutory consultees. And assuming that the consultation goes well, we then allow, as we have to, time to alter our plans to take account of anything that any of the consultees may want to say to us. So we are looking to have the application submitted to the Planning Inspectorate in its final form after the consultation in the early autumn. Once it's with the Planning Inspectorate, we're in their hands. It's called a determining period, and they have to decide, as I said earlier, whether they want us to do more work, whether there's enough work. There will not be a public inquiry with the DCO, that's not how it works. There will be a hearing if the Planning Inspectorate decides they want to actually test whatever we've given them or other people have given them. And that's where we'll get to. So, but then there's a fifth column, which is the local plan, which is important. We know now that the pre-submission consultation on the local plan will be in August. We know that the draft plan has to be submitted to the Secretary of State by about April next year. We know that the Secretary of State will order an examination of the local plan in the autumn of next year, and that it is intended or likely that the new local plan will be adopted in January of 2018. All those things operate in parallel, and then we've got one or two complicating factors like the pending planning appeals in relation to the site. The one thing I would say is this: the one significant difference for River Oak is that now that the DCO process has started, we have a locus, we have a standing. Previously, we were relatively powerless to intervene in anything because all we were aspiring indemnity partners for TDC. Now we are the promoters of a development consent order, so we are able to intervene, or at least register our views. The town planning arm of our master planning consultants will be taking that on board, and I just wanted you to know that as well as all the efforts and contribution that you guys are going to be made, that side of it will also now be under careful scrutiny from our side.
Good.
So that's a current statement of our position. I'm here to answer questions, but what I would just like to finish by saying is, if there are times when we haven't put anything on our website, it is simply because work is going on and we are waiting for a report, or we're finalising a report. We will, as a matter of policy, put as much on our website as we possibly can so that everyone knows what's going on.